Disclaimer. Please do not target, bully, threaten, or harass anyone portrayed or mentioned in this video. This is merely a commentary from the author of this channel and should be taken with reasonable doubt.
What? What the fuck? Oh shit. Here we go again.
Hi guys.
Oh dear God, not you again.
There has always been a problem in the fandom with people who assume the worst of others.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the furry fandom. And I know right now there are tons of people wanting to get a reply out of me.
Well, that's funny, Kero. I wasn't aware that anybody wanted to really talk to you.
Not gonna happen.
Oh, good. Well, that's a relief.
I'm done with Twitter. People with a lot of followers are sometimes responsible for controversy.
You don't say. Do please tell me more.
They get power hungry and feel the need to create drama.
Kind of like you are right now.
So they can focus the entire thing around them.
Kero, is there something that you're trying to tell the rest of us? Like, is this just a moment of clarity for you? Or...
If I'm being honest, I think the biggest problem today is Twitter as a platform.
Oh no, the furries on Twitter canceled Kero, so now Kero's gonna cancel Twitter. You heard it from here, folks. Brace yourselves. Hey, what's going on, everybody? TujoPanda back in action. We're going to talk about something else today, and by something else, well, it's basically a continuation of something that we just talked about. I am legitimately surprised that there would be such a quick turnaround on content that Kero would just, kind of generate and offer to the fandom. Especially after, on day one, like, if you read through the comments right now, it's a combination of things. For the most part, it's people gushing about how Kero the Wolf's back, how they're so happy and, just overjoyed that he would come back for his triumphant return and bring back some sense of happiness and joy in their lives with a glimmer of sunlight all the while. And, but then you see, comments where basically people are making completely irrelevant references to various things. Because apparently there's, a moderator on, monitoring that chat. Or I should say the YouTube comments. But I'm treating it like a chat. Because that's how other people are treating it like a chat. And, so basically anybody that is particularly egregious in their criticisms of Kero the Wolf, if they're not either expressing, reasonable cynicism or, outright accusing him of something, they just get removed immediately. And, I can't, my attitude about that. I'm, very anti-censorship. But, yeah, I was kind of surprised to see the video. And just, Kero the Wolf, after, the past 2 years of, everything that had happened, the harrowing ordeal, the furry fandom getting up in arms, being anti-Kero, the back and forth between Kero thinking he's guilty, then he's innocent, then he's guilty again, and in spite of all of the controversy, the police investigations notwithstanding, he has the audacity not only make a return video, but also, on top of that, a video trying to utilize cancel culture and, his stance on it as some sort of, magic free pass, a Monopoly get-out-of-jail-free card, to, basically throw off all responsibility for any of his actions through that entire time. The absolute mad lad. God damn. What is there more to say at this point? He's, love him or hate him, he's definitely intent on being here to stay. And, I can't say that's a good thing, per se, because, typically, you can't just, if there's a group of people that think you did something, and not only did you act, incredibly suspiciously, up to that point, in trying to throw off any, allegations or any criticism or any, basically, any, proof that was submitted to you. I can't help but feel that, like, that's not only very irresponsible, but that's going against, like, the people that you claim to be for. Because these are the people that... It's like a king, like King John from, like, you know, Robin Hood. You know, King John was a very unpopular king, okay? And a lot of people didn't like him. He was the king, like, legitimate in title, but his rule of law was not respected by the people beneath him. But he had, you know, an army to back him up and stuff like that. I guess Kero the Wolf's equivalent to that would be, like, all the white knights and people that, no matter, like, whether he's guilty or not, they don't care. Like, they are under the Kero banner, and they're going to defend his name, like, no matter what happens. But there's, like, a sizable proportion of the furry fandom that just does not care for him at all. In fact, the reaction on Twitter was absolute disgust. It kind of, like, shatters the whole mythos that you've developed around yourself. You know, that you are this person that's popular, you know, that is, like, beneficent, presumably, that you come on here to bring fun and enjoyment to everyone that caters to your videos, even though deep down we know that the whole reason that Kero the Wolf is probably doing all this is because he had a taste of popularity. He had finally gotten somewhere in life, you know, after the Shane Dawson interview. He had his 5 minutes to shine. And suddenly, you know, not too long later, after suddenly growing very popular in a relatively short span of time, you know, the past misdeeds of his, you know, shady past had finally come up to catch up with him. And the shocking thing about all this is the fact that, like, he wasn't even the big fish, quote-unquote, of that whole, like, zoophilia group, alright? He was like a lesser Majira Strawberry who was only recognized because of his name and because of, like, the presence that he already had on the furry fandom. If he didn't have that, like, chances are people wouldn't have given it much second thought. Granted, a lot of the people that were in that Zoo Sadist ring were arrested, like, shortly after the fact. So people were motivated enough to try to correlate and determine who was who and to try to seek justice on them any way possible. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and I would have to say that Snake Thing was probably the worst of the bunch, given what I know now. But at the same time, you know, like, Kero the Wolf gets this free pass and just gets to walk away scot-free. I looked at Kiwi Farms, like, last night. Like, I just couldn't help but, you know, out of curiosity. They're even more upset than the furry fandom. And it's just like, okay. I wouldn't, like, I was upset because, like, Kero the Wolf basically lied, denied, and, like, feigned ignorance. Lie by omission. Like, on top of all the lies and deception. Like, I actually looked through some of my old files again, and you know what I found? I found some, like, little pieces here and there. I found screen caps of things that he'd said to people in confidence, and it turns out that not too much later, like, looking through all that material, I found, like, he would say one thing, like, he actually denied knowing Snake Thing at all. And then later on, he admitted, okay, I talked to the guy, but, you know, we weren't friends or anything. He was just somebody I talked to because, you know, if you look at the chat logs and you correlate and cross-reference everything that he said in them to, like, the behavior, the attitude, the tone, like, that's pretty friendly for somebody that's just, I don't know, an acquaintance on a site that you don't want to really associate yourself with. And what I know is, like, Kero the Wolf, he appears to have, like, precluded himself from the group shortly after getting popular on, like, you know, YouTube. I'm talking about, like, after the threshold of 100,000 subscribers. That was about the point where he probably recognized that any association with this group was probably going to be detrimental to him at some point. But, you know, he didn't act fast enough because we wouldn't be here today if that was the case. And, like, he shared some things with, like, certain people in that chat. Like, there was one where they recognized him from a video. They recognized his voice, I guess. They recognized his appearance, his, you know, what he was all about. Because they linked that video to him. It's like, hey, this is you. And Kero, surprisingly, he didn't, like, deny it. He didn't, you know, do anything to really, you know, discourage the other person. He seemed happy that he was recognized. I don't know, like, and I watched the house tour again, the house tour video. I actually have a downloaded saved copy. I I didn't even remember I still had that. But like I correlated that, I cross-referenced it with pictures of Coda, like, you know, and the background was exactly the same. And from what I remember, like, he mentions, yeah, I think it was like part of a garage at one point in time. It was like turned into like some sort of a guest bedroom, I guess. But like, you know, you have to look at the fixtures in the back. The spacing on the wood slats that are indented into the wall, that is a unique feature of that particular garage. That's not something that you typically see like anywhere else. And you're free to argue with me on that, but like I've been in enough homes, and I know enough like architects, you know, people that worked on a construction site. Hell, I'm best friends with one. Not really best friends, but like we're pretty tight. But like you just don't see that. That's not common, all right? And you know, add that to the fact that like Coda was like featured prominently, like, you know, Kero's dog in that sort of like environment. There's way too many coincidences here for it to be a coincidence, all right? And like there comes a point where Occam's razor is looking very like attractive as a like tool of breaking things down to simplistic terms, that Kero the Wolf is like absolutely guilty of, you know, a whole bunch of shit. Now again, like I said before, what he's actually guilty of is up for debate, because remember, abuse of animals, sexual behavior with animals, you know, necrophilia, engaging in sexual behavior with roadkill, that's stuff that I have no doubts on. Everything else, like, I don't think he engaged in half of the like the absolute abhorrent shit that the people he was associating with did. Because, you know, like, Kero the Wolf, everything that you might know about him, that is small potatoes compared to what the zoo sadists were, like, doing. Alright? So, I never really followed up on whatever happened to, like, the zoo sadists after the whole ring was, like, blown wide open. Here's what I know. I actually did, like, on my own time, just looked out of curiosity. It was about 6 months after Kero the Wolf had left, and I was just curious, you know, it'd been half a year, what happened? Well, some internet sleuths had gotten together, apparently, and had managed to get, like, 3 well-known zoophiles. One was in, like, Florida, I think. I don't know where Snake Thing is anymore. I forget about, you know, little details about him. But I will tell you that, like, this guy from Cuba, he was arrested, and then he was let go, because Cuba apparently didn't have animal cruelty laws on the books, which is a pretty big oopsie, but it's Cuba. I'm surprised. But granted, I don't think many Cubans would engage in the type of behavior that he was doing. He was like the beast of Cuba, or something like that, but I don't know. It's just mind-boggling that Kero the Wolf is just going to stroll right back on in and act like nothing changed. The problem is, like, with Kero the Wolf and Kit the Soulless's arguments, I'm going to cover what they talked about in the first video. Like, I know I should have in my response video, but, like, here. Their whole argument was that because the police found nothing on him, that he was innocent, and that we should forget about everything that happened and, like, have no reaction to any of the controversy surrounding him and, like, go on as life as normal. But, like, the problem with that is there's sufficient, you can be, like, proven innocent and, like, you know, by the police, like in a court of law, and be absolutely guilty. You know, I happen to remember, like, you know, a particular case from my childhood. I was too young at the time to really know what it was all about, but, like, when I grew to be an adult, I learned very quickly the circumstances surrounding the case and why it was so significant. If the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. I guess in Kero's case, if the fursuit pobs don't fit, you must acquit. Like, Kero the Wolf's, like, fursuit was shown to some people, like, you know, in those chat rooms and chat logs. And it looked exactly like his. The fur pattern, the coloration was exactly the same. It wasn't quite the same as his most recent fursuit, which is actually high quality, but, like, the older suit, I have no doubts, like, it would be like a proto-Kero prototype. Because, like, goddamn, like, the coincidences here are just, like, astronomical. If you're gonna, like, play all this off as a coincidence, this shit adds up. And, but yeah, O.J. Simpson was found innocent, like, in a court of law. it was a very divisive case that divided half the country on whether he was guilty or innocent. But for years after the fact, like, the recurrent legacy that followed the man was that he was absolutely guilty, but he got off of it scot-free. And even today, some people are mentioning, like, things that, you know, OJ had whispered under his breath, like, after his, like, ordeal. And I think that there was actually, like, a couple of, like, policies that had changed in the courtroom procedure because of his little stunt with the gloves. Like, if the gloves don't fit, you must quit. Yeah, but anyway, let's get back on track to what we're talking about right now. So the issue is that Kero the Wolf, in this most recent video that I showcased at the very beginning of the video, like little clips of it, I really hope, you know, like, I don't know, I really hope that, like, he doesn't really go for a third, but, you know, he might. But the problem with that is okay, like, I will completely, like, agree with Kit the Soulless and Kero the Wolf even on this topic, that cancel culture is a destructive, like, force that has been tearing the furry fandom apart. But at the same time, like, you can't use that as an argument and a defense for your wrongdoing. You can't use that as a scapegoat and just play it off like, oh, I was the victim here and you all should, like, feel bad for putting me through the ringer like that. Even though I lied and denied about everything for the past 2 years, and I kept asserting my innocence, this most recent stunt, like the 2 videos that Kit the Soulless did and Kero the Wolf did, all that does for me is it's like, you know, you're playing Super Smash Brothers with, like, you know, your friends. And one of your friends somehow gets down on the GameCube or the Wii or whatever you're playing on, and he rips out, like, 3 of the controllers so that only his controller is plugged in. And he, like, nails all of you. He is the last man standing, and he declares himself the winner. You guys would feel a little cheated. Just a little bit. Like, these circumstances are obviously completely far off from all this, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that it's been a long fucking weekend. And maybe my brain's not working quite, like, right, like it should. But even so, like, you can't just declare yourself the winner in all this. Like, that's what they treated this like. They treated this like a, like, sports competition where, like, even Kit the Soulless did this. It's like Kero 1, like, crowd 0, furry fandom 0. And it's like, damn, dude. Like, you can't just declare yourself the winner. This is a matter of public opinion, okay? The public has to kind of be on your side in order to be the winner. And if half the public, like, hates you because they know what you're guilty of, and, like, maybe 25% of them are with you, and the other 25% are sort of on the fence, that's not speaking to, like, overwhelming support and, like, appreciation for what you're doing and what you are all about. That speaks to me that people are incredibly divided and, like, by you, and that you're incredibly controversial. I've been in that situation before, don't get me wrong, but the circumstances were completely, like, different. I was never, like, accused of criminal behavior, but what I was accused of was various other bullshit that I never did, you know, but all boiled down to was hurting people's feelings. Maybe I'll get to that in a video sometime, but, yeah, being canceled sucks, but at the same time, like, the reasoning why you're being canceled is a very important factor in, like, how you should feel about it, because, like, I know some people I know, depending on how, like, if they say something that's, like, a problematic opinion, they'll just shrug their shoulders and be like, whatever. In Kero's case, he could have handled this so much better. Like, let's just go back in time and, like, look at how he reacted. He pulled a bunch of stunts, he deleted his own Telegram, he made a big deal about it on Twitter, he acted like, you know, he legitimately got hacked when he didn't, and that people pointed out that his VPN screen caps were full of shit, and that he admitted later that he had pulled them off of Google. And, like, he kept changing his story. There was a lot of, like, inconsistencies in what he told Cathorix and what he told, like, Ashy Zoe Fox. And it just, like, begs the question, did he ever really have a sense of what he wanted to say? It was kind of like, you know, Hillary Clinton, honestly. Like, love her or hate her, like Hillary Clinton when she was running against Donald Trump, in the days leading up to Donald Trump, like, winning the presidential election. By the way, I'm not going to get into, like, the politics of whether you're a Republican or, like, Democrat. I'm not really interested in politics right now. what I'm like I remember that she was being interviewed on a TV show, and the host was actually, he was like one of those Democrats that wanted to support Hillary Clinton, but he also wanted to use his best judgment on questioning her, and he was trying to give her equal treatment to what he would do for Donald Trump. And like eventually what really hit me is like when I was watching that is that towards the end of the interview, like he's asking all these questions and Hillary's giving basically half-assed responses. She's doing like the simplest response she can give. And eventually he's just like, at this point I think you're like willing to say just about anything in order to get the seat of presidency. And Hillary kind of laughed it off. But that's how I feel about Kero, like for a while there. He was just saying whatever he could in the moment to try to throw off any responsibility or any sense of guilt that the furry fandom had on him, overall. And it was just very problematic because all that did was raise more questions and concerns from the fandom than alleviate those concerns and questions. Anyway, what can I say about this now? Well, honestly, like I said in my last video, and I'm sorry to retread old ground, Kero Wolf seems like he's going to be here to stay, alright? That's just something that, all of us are just going to have to accept. We don't have to watch his content, and we don't have to support him. But at the same time, there comes a point where you just kind of have to, walk away from the situation. There's not a whole lot more you can do. And, I really implore you, please don't go out of your way to try to harass, give him death threats or anything like that. That's really a bad thing to do. Alright, that's something that the furry fandom has done way too often in the face of, things that were considered, discomforting or, something that we didn't like. We would lash out like that. But also, that doesn't mean that Kero the Wolf has to be your friend, You don't have to support him. You don't have to watch his content. You don't have to contribute to his Patreon. You can be aware of him. I would definitely warn people, hey, you might want to watch yourself around this guy. I'm not saying don't talk to him. I'm not saying, don't watch his stuff, but maybe you want to be, kind of careful about, your interactions with him. Just saying. But, my personal beef with him, as it stands right now, is after trying to hold out my best judgment and be somewhat impartial and objective in my approach to this whole debacle, that he would fly in the face of that and actively delete evidence, delete material that he had, act very suspiciously, and throw some people under the bus. I am surprised I haven't heard from actually Zoe Fox, with, Kero the Wolf's triumphant return. It's only been him and Kit the Soulless and the Truth King. Because, when you have a moniker like the Truth King, you are the absolute purveyor of truth, alright? Because auspicious names are definitely a substitute for having some sense of credibility. Take it from me. I'm TujoPanda. I look like this in real life. I guarantee it. Look at my face right now. Do you see my face? Do you see my eyes? This isn't just face rig. This is my actual webcam right now. I look just like this. I am TujoPanda. I'm a real panda. Okay, I'm just taking the piss right now. But in all seriousness, there was this guy, he's a god level tier simp. He's really been simping hard for Kero the Wolf because, I see him, especially on that return video, he would, respond to everybody that, laid a comment down and would go out of his way to keep up these very long-winded explanations for things. And, it seemed like he was Kero the Wolf's PR man. Maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe I need a PR man. Are any of you interested in being my PR man? I could use some good PR. But, it was a bizarre circus. I'm going to go ahead and pull a Phoenix right here and just be Kero the Wolf's not just a clown. He has with him the entire circus, alright? And I can't help but chuckle a little bit at some of the comments where, people would leave commentary about it. I say that they would leave commentary. What I'm trying to say is they would leave, commentary talking about, hey, they just had a sale on baby back ribs down at Hooters. You guys want to join in? or like talk about, anybody want to play some Super Smash Bros. With me tonight, or like all these irrelevant comments that are just, I guess they're testing the waters. Maybe they're testing like the thresholds to see like how fast and how quickly and how like, you know, hard the Truth King's going to come down on them with like the whole ban hammer and like removing them from the video. It's weird because like they were definitely actively patrolling that like channel for basically the period of like the past 2 days. All right, like ever since it started and up until now, there have been some theories about the Truth King. Like, he doesn't sleep. He's there to pervade the truth. He is going to educate you all on the truth of the matter, that Kero the Wolf is absolutely innocent of all the charges, and that you all are haters and trolls. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath either. I just really wish that he came clean on it or something like that. Either he came clean, or that there was some breakthrough in the case, that there was some confirmation that it's like, yeah, the statute of limitations ran out, and you all were wasting your time. But, you know, maybe I'm, like, the foolish one here. Maybe I should be singing Bakamatai right now. Dame, dame, dame yo, dame nana yo. Enter ga, sukate, suki, sugate. どれだけ強いるさだけもゆっくりにおめでがバカめたい Because like most people that I know that know about the whole Kero the Wolf like situation, they have an opinion on it, but they know not to like get involved again. They had enough after the first 2 years. All right, they were like done. They weren't going to talk to Kero the Wolf ever again, but like at the same time, they were kind of done with this whole situation. They were like, "Yo, man, I'm clocking out. Like I'm out. I'm out of here. Audi 9000." And I kind of like, I know that Cathorix, he got burned for his like commentary about lollies and pedophilia. At least that was the allegations from the community. The community lost a lot of respect for him. But Cathorix seemed like in the early days to genuinely want to help Kero. And like Kero kind of flew in the face of that, like this past video where he's just like, you know, I thought he tried to want to help, but he didn't. You know, he just kept trying to bully me and saying things like, you know, and I looked at the logs. Cathorix seemed to like genuinely act like he was Kero the Wolf's lawyer. He was like trying to get Kero to like either stick to a story or like come clean and be absolutely honest about his dealings with all of this to make the situation better. Well, he got thrown under the bus. Ashley Zoe Fox was a very ardent supporter of Kero the Wolf. Like, he went out of his way to, you know, basically confront people that said like Kero the Wolf was guilty. And, like, you know, he was very adamant about it. Even, like, you know, trying to, like, go against, like, Mr. Medicare, who's a pretty big name here on YouTube, but, you know, a lot of you probably wouldn't like him. And, like, you know, having him at his residence, like, with Kero the Wolf by his side to give an extended interview about it. And eventually, Ashley Zoe Fox bowed out gracefully. He's just like, this is all giving me a lot to think about, and I can't deal with this right now. And I can't help but feel sorry for the guy. Like, genuinely. Or I should say girl. I apologize for misgendering them. But, like, at the time, when I was watching the Kero the Wolf thing, I thought they were male. Ashley's I thought, yeah, that should have been the first. Well, you know, Ashley can be a guy's name, too. I mean, think about Ashley from the, like, Evil Dead series. He was a badass. His name is Ashley. Like, I don't know. But, like, Ashley Zoe Fox, I think they went back to just, you know, live streaming, gaming, doing their gaming thing. Why they got wrapped up with Kero the Wolf in the first place, I have no idea, but I thought they were friends. But, yeah, as far as Kero the Wolf goes, he's going to be here to stay. I have a lot of material that's, like, disorganized throughout, like, my external drive. My computer crashed not too long ago. I'm sure you saw a video about my system crash. I had to reinstall Windows 10, but there's still a lot of material that I managed to save on external hard drives and things like that. And, like, I was just kind of poring over it the other night, like I mentioned, and, like, there's a lot to go through. And the problem with all that material is that its relevancy is broken down based on the time period. The beginning of the investigation of the Kero the Wolf, later into the investigation, like the end of the investigation, and things that appeared after the fact. Because some things, some people had shared because they were aware of Kero the Wolf's presence as Yami the Wolf, a long time ago. And it wasn't really parsed until later. So yeah. Where do we go from here? Well, Kero the Wolf he's declaring himself innocent. Kit the Soulless thinks he's innocent, or knows he's innocent because, he just knows things. But I guess the TLDR that I'm going to offer right here, right now, while cancel culture is a terrible phenomena that has just kind of happened on social media, it's happened on Twitter, it's happened on YouTube, it's happened on Instagram, it's happened on Facebook, it's happened everywhere. Everywhere that furries are, cancel culture has had some sort of a presence by big names here. But the fact of the matter remains that Kero the Wolf is trying to use that as a cudgel against the argument that he's guilty, and trying to pass off plausible deniability that he's a victim as much as anybody else has been canceled. And I've known a few, Dojo Dingo, Foxler, but Foxler kind of brought it on himself. Various others have been canceled in the furry fandom that were maybe not the biggest names. They weren't as big as Kero the Wolf. They weren't as big as PewDiePie or Majira Strawberry, but they were fairly prominent and well known enough that the act of canceling them was a pretty significant event. And I don't know, Kero the Wolf can't use this as some sort of an excuse as to why we should all just shrug our shoulders and accept him with the loving acceptance that he wants from us. If he truly loves the furry fandom like the redheaded stepchild that it is, then what he'll probably do is just be here, try to regain his fame and popularity again by uploading content and continue on his merry way. And if he does so, we just have to accept that, I mean, you can watch him like a hawk all you want, but at some point, you're going to see a rate of diminishing returns, and he seems like he's fairly guarded in his approach to how he's going to engage himself online now. I mean, he said it himself in the video. We'll see how long that lasts, but he said, people have been dying to get a response out of me, and you know what? I'm done with Twitter. I'm going to post a few things here and there, but other than that, I'm not replying to any of y'all. But I will say this. I really like his speaking ability. He can speak quickly, and he can speak somewhat professionally. Granted, his first video had more jump cuts in it than a PK Russell video, which wasn't very endearing to me. However, at least his overall dialogue is fairly comprehensible, well scripted, well written, and he can deliver it in a relatively short span of time. He can say a lot in a relatively short span of time and still be comprehensive and cohesive about it. The problem is, the first video was very smug. The second video was it reminded me of what Joe Biden said in one of his speeches. Come on. Come on, guys. Come on. You can't hold that against me now. Come on. And it's yeah, Kero, you're not going to change our minds, individually. Even as a group, alright? You can tell us that you're innocent. You can assert that you're innocent. You can do all this other stuff. You haven't really shown us anything that really proves your innocence. You've just, you just said, the police came, they investigated me, they questioned me, even though I had probably had sufficient time to delete all the evidence and anything incriminating in the period of time when the investigation started to when the police actually showed up at my house, and that that your parents wouldn't let them do a investigation, and that I guess there wasn't a sufficient amount of evidence to warrant a warrant, and that while they took your equipment, who's to say that you didn't wipe that shit down? Anything can happen. And most law enforcement throughout America, while 9 times out of 10, if you did something illegal, you're gonna get arrested. But at the end of the day, if it's really too hard for them to go above and beyond police procedure, they're not gonna give a shit. Also, I have a question. I just remembered something from his first video. Somebody alleged that Kero the Wolf killed somebody, because that's news to me, because I never thought he was guilty of that. If he did, let's hope it's not me. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, knock on wood. Nah, I'm kidding. But in all seriousness though, like, I don't remember anybody alleging that he killed somebody. I legitimately do believe that he, like, you know, abused animals in a certain way. You know what I mean? But allegedly, wink, wink, honk, honk. But, like, in all seriousness, who made the claim that he killed somebody? Like, for what purpose or reason? Like, why would Kero the Wolf have a reason to kill somebody? You know, they knew too much, man. Kero the Wolf had to do it himself. He tried to get a mob hitman, but that was expensive, and the Patreon money was running out. He had to do it himself. So he put on the black gloves and... Okay, maybe this is in poor taste, but I'm just, after all of this, like, I'm convinced I'm in clown world right now. I'm convinced I'm, like, you know, in bizarro world right now, where, like, 2021, we're still in COVID-19, like, the pandemic is hitting, like, the economy is tanking, Kero the Wolf's coming back. Like, what's next? Is Skeletor himself going to come out of, like, Underworld and, you know, try to take over the United States? Anyway, yeah. So, Kero the Wolf's back. He's going to be making content from now on. I hope you guys enjoy that content if you happen to watch. I probably will not be watching, maybe here and there, but maybe he's abiding by the principle of no publicity is bad publicity. So regardless of what he does, he's going to try to draw attention upon himself. And there's, like, so much more I could get into this video, but I don't want to turn it into the same video that I did, like, you know, Saturday, which was actually recorded Friday, but FaceRig kind of fucked me over because, as bad as the performance was in my last video, like with FaceRig, and it dropping some of my, like, words and phrases, it was nothing compared to the first time around, like, after I processed it on Friday. So let's hope this time it works out. I might actually, like, upgrade animes and hopefully get everything to work, like, pretty peachy keen. Because I want to keep making videos like this. Well, not necessarily about this subject matter. I'm talking about, like, videos where I talk to you all using, you know, a program like this. And I get to use my natural voice on a Panda avatar. I would be doing it in VR chat, but, like, this has a certain feel to it. I like how there's a separation between the type of content of, like, VR chat related versus, like, here. But yeah. And you know what's crazy? I actually know a guy called Kero, and he's also got, like, a wolfish avatar, and people thought he was Kero the Wolf, and were, like, giving him shit for it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I told him that I was gonna go Panda Rage on anybody that attacked him for being Kero the Wolf, because he's not that Kero the Wolf. He's our Kero the Wolf. His full name is not Kero the Wolf, by the way. It's just Kero something, but regardless, yeah, a lot of people are pretty bent out of shape and tilted about all this, and I'm sure, like, the furor is going to die down here in a couple days. Let's hope it does, but, you know, I'm trying to be the voice of reason here, apart from, like, expressing my opinions about all this, because, like, I still am a little bit butthurt about all this, just a little bit. I'm not, like, hating Kero Wolf, like, I don't hate the guy, but I do genuinely believe that he basically did not take responsibility for anything that he's done, and that would be fine-ish, but at the same time, like, in a perfect world, it would not be fine. But, like, you know, in the world that we live right now, what's done is done. There's not a whole lot more we can do but remember and bear that memory in mind. But, like, he goes out of his way to declare his innocence, and it's like he wants to convince us, like, that he's absolutely innocent when we're convinced that he's guilty. And he's trying to come at it with, like, the voice of reason, that he's, like, coming off of his high horse to, like, extend an arm to all of us, and that we're the haters for, like, feeling the way that we do against Kero. The problem with that is, like, the presentation of it, like I said before, while professional, it was unduly smug. It was pretentious, okay? It pissed me off watching him with that tone of voice and, like, his enunciation of words. And the cadence, like, that he is acting like this self-assured dude, overconfidence hell, the arrogance just seeping out of his head. His head might as well have been, like, 3 times as big as it was in the video. Because, like, he just thinks that he's going to stroll right back on and, like, everything's going to pick up right where he left off. before all of this began. It's like, no, buddy. Like, the buck stops here. The furry fandom's not going to just forget about it and just move on with its, like, own merry way. They're going to bear that in memory. And it's going to take a while. Like, you've done nothing to help your case. You've done nothing to convince us of your innocence. That is, in the court of public opinion, it sucks, it's bullshit. But at the same time, in the court of public opinion, like, the, innocence is on the individual to prove their innocence. And it's a fucked up system. I completely, admit that. But the difference here is that there's been overwhelming material out there to nail Kero the Wolf to the fucking wall with a 10-foot, railroad spike. And he's done nothing but repeat the same thing over and over again. I am innocent. I am innocent. I am innocent. You're all trolls and haters. I am innocent. And, in the early days, there were a good proportion of people that thought he was guilty, but at the same time, they were willing to hear him out. They just wanted to hear the truth. Hear it from the horse's mouth. They wanted some reasonable assurance that Kero the Wolf was innocent of everything that he'd been accused of. And Kero the Wolf, rather than, be straightforward and honest and down to earth, he, plays this game of, lying and denying and trying to weasel his way out of things. And I have to say, I've seen the guy's, type. He doesn't seem very bright, alright? He's got that social, intelligence going for him, but he doesn't seem particularly bright as far as his tactic, strategy, or, handling a situation. And it's not just, shitty handling of the situation. There are several statements he's made in, confidence to people, as well as to the public, that he, completely refutes, sometimes in the same conversation, sometimes, days or weeks after he said the original thing. And it doesn't convince me of his guilt at all. Alright? And some of you all in the comments have tried to, pitch the argument. Salty Fox, I'm not trying to pick on you, buddy. I'm just saying that you made some commentary to me. The situation between, and I still need to make that Lucky, Coyote video. I do apologize, but there's just so much material there. I haven't, finished going through all the material for Lucky Coyote, number one. Number two, the circumstances between the two are entirely different. You have, a bunch of people that are alleging something about an individual based on their personal interactions. The difference between Kero the Wolf and that is that Kero the Wolf had all this material of, screen caps and material that people were aware of, and people that, things that people had, accumulated over a span of time to prove guilt. And that was over the, span of 2 years. That was a long-ass time. Actually, it wasn't that long. It feels that long, but that's only because it's been 2 years since it all happened, I suppose. No, the difference is, there was a lot more material surrounding Kero that was actually damning, and for Lucky Coyote, while some of the screen caps I've seen are very sketchy, I would say that the most that she's guilty of is manipulative behavior towards people, and, basically using and then, abusing them, I guess, based on, if the testimonies can be believed, that is. And, a bad habit of accumulating a lot of animals without the ability or the patience or wherewithal to, take care of them, and then, either getting rid of them, killing them, or letting them die or suffer. But anyway, that's not really the subject matter of this video. I only mentioned that because, you were one of the few people that had felt like I was giving Lucky Coyote a free pass because she was a popular fursuit maker and that she was a girl. No, that subject matter, her mode of character, that's completely irrelevant to, how I feel about her. And how I really feel about her is that she's absolutely guilty of some of the allegations, but it's maybe 1/4 or 1/5 of what has been claimed versus, the allegations in their entirety. I'll try to cover that into a video. But for right now, I'm just going to say with Kero the Wolf, guilty, but he got off scot-free. So we can only see where, things go from here. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I wouldn't have made a video about this so soon if it wasn't for the fact that Kero the Wolf had made such a quick follow-up video and about a subject matter as, a pathetic attempt to throw off, the ire of the internet off of him and say that he was a victim of cancel culture. Because, that just pissed me off. If you're going to use that as a fallback, a cop-out excuse, yeah, that's not the best way to go about it. But okay, he made his decision, That's the story he's going to stick with, and I'm just going to shrug my shoulders and continue to pour over the material I already have and how things develop from here. So, everybody, until next time, take care and peace. I hope we all have a better one. Good night.
And now for something completely different.